Good afternoon. This is Dale Lamb with Gardner Webb. This is our legacy intern session. This is our second one or third one of the season. I don't have anybody that's joined me yet, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's about 2 minutes after 3. Hope everybody got the email. According to my email return, you did. So I don't blame you. I'd be out this beautiful afternoon myself. First thing I want to reiterate is site visits. If you have changed site supervisors since the last time that I visited you, either you've changed schools or your site supervisor, your principal has changed, and even if you have not changed your site supervisor but your principal has changed, like say if your AP is your site supervisor but you've got a new principal, please let me know that. I need to make a visit under any of those conditions. I will be conducting on Tuesday, the 10th of October, I have invited your site supervisors to a Zoom session with me where I'm going to, for the new people, I've got a couple of you that may be viewing this. I'm going to do a session for them. I won't have to do that with the existing ones. I'd rather come out and visit them if your site supervisor has changed. So again, let me know. I'm coming to see Shauna this week because she's changed schools. So if for whatever reason things are different than the last time I visited you, I need to visit you again. So that's just a reminder. First thing I want to cover this afternoon is some evidence artifact work. I'll be making reference to this scale handbook. I know you all have the handbook. And here are the common things that I am seeing in work this semester that we need to make sure that we address. As I said, I might have a couple of new people involved in this. So most of you, these won't be relevant, the first two, but I'm going to go ahead and cover AppSell all the way through the SOP. What I'm seeing mostly a problem in the AppSell is in Task 3 literature review. In that literature review, which is just prior to the annotated bibliography in Task 3, I should see a reference on PLC research. I should see a data reference, and I should see a reference on whatever treatment or program you're going to put in place to combat your most pressing need. Now, your annotated bibliography will be of research studies on that particular treatment, but I need to see a reference in that literature review that says this will work. And then you show me the results of programs that have been put in place to address that most pressing need. That's your annotated bibliography. So again, in the literature review in Task 3, I should see a reference to PLCs. I should see a reference to your data that led you to your most pressing need, and then a reference on this. When people have this most pressing need, this is the kind of thing that they did to fix it. And then your annotated bibliography will be research studies of those fixes. The AppTel, what I'm seeing there's Rhonda. Hey, Rhonda. Rhonda has joined me. It's me and Rhonda so far. Rhonda, hope you can hear me. I'll continue on. In the AppTel, again, this is for the new people. Make sure that your action plan or that what you're doing in Task 3 is instructionally related. You're going to need this later on, and I'll address that immediately. If you read the directions for AppTel Task 3, and let me scroll down to that right quick. Here we go. Candidate will create an analytical narrative that describes the process of assembling a team of colleagues to develop, present a teacher empowerment leadership professional growth plan. All right, but that professional growth needs to be in the area of instruction. and all these specific parts would be in it. Now, if you choose something like PBIS or attendance or graduation rate or something like that, then later on you're going to have to pretty much do this one over again in the OMA when you lead a group of educators in staff development to improve instruction. So if any new folks are listening, please remember this should be instructionally based. Your action plan here should be instructionally based, because when you get to the OMA, if you have done that, when you get to the OMA, let's read OMA Task 3. No, OMA Task 2. The candidate will develop a plan for instructional capacity building. Instructional capacity building program features depth of knowledge in each of these areas. It's basically the same thing that you do in Task 2 and 3 of the APTEL. You can just change the headings and submit what you did in 2 and 3 in the APTEL if it was instructionally based. If it wasn't, if you pick PBIS or attendance or something like that, then you'll have to do this one from scratch. But if you were smart enough and had a forethought and did instruction in your APTEL, then you can just change the headings on Task 2 and 3 from the APTEL, and that becomes Task 2 of your OMA. All right. What I'm seeing in Task 1 of the OMA that we're missing is that review of the budget to make sure that the school improvement team is involved in the budgeting process so that we can be assured that budgeting decisions and priorities support the school improvement plan. It doesn't do any good to develop a school improvement plan if you don't put the budget resources behind it. And so that's why we're having you to assess the input that the school improvement team has on the budgeting process. And that is to see if they actually have a voice to make sure that the school improvement plan gets funded. That's the first one. The second thing is, and so the conceptual analysis clearly describes the school's budgeting process and procedures. Within this description, participation of school personnel and the school improvement team is delineated. And that's why we want you to do that. But the other thing that we seem to be missing regularly in OMA Task 1 is review of your special populations. Hello, Kelly.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you. So what I continue to see in OMA Task 1 is that folks do not review their special populations. Now, special populations is not special ed. Special populations include EC, 504, ESL, LEP, that's English as Second Language or Limited English Proficiency, Title I, Academically Gifted, and your intervention team referrals. All of those are your special populations. You need to do a review of all those programs, what you're offering, what they're getting. This is what they're supposed to get, and this is what they're getting. You need to make sure that you're doing that review of special populations in OMA 1. Because those are your federal programs, and you're going to need to know about those things when you get to OMA Task 3, because it's going to ask you to do an assessment of your scheduling procedures. That's another mistake that we continue to make. That assessment in OMA Task 3 is of the schedule itself, but the first assessment is of the scheduling procedures. Everywhere, most schools have a whiteboard somewhere, and there's little stickies on the whiteboard when they develop the master schedule. My question is which stickies do we put on first and why? Federal programs come first. You have to know what federal programs you have and what laws and policies that you have to follow for those federal programs. That's the first part of your scheduling. Your schedule is very clear. There's a rationale in scheduling. And you should assess this procedure to make sure that this rationale is being followed. The rationale is federal law comes first in all of your special population programs. Second is your state law. That comes second. That's instructional time, duty-free time, planning time. I gave you a document to that end. I can resend that one. I'll write myself a note to resend the legal requirements document. But you should have that document. But that comes second is your state laws. Third comes your local district policies on scheduling. And there's always in every district at every grade level, there's a list of non-negotiables in your schedule about how long you have this and how often and those kinds of things. Fourth comes best research practices. An example would be having reading before lunchtime in elementary school. And the fifth is teacher input. Now, those five aren't random.
What was the fifth one?
Teacher input.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Teacher input should be number 5. Now, those are the 5 things: federal law, state law, Board of Education policy, best research practices, and teacher input. Those are the 5 things that are known as your scheduling rationale of how you build your master schedule. Excuse me. Now, even more importantly, they have to come in that order. Period. There's no debate. They have to be in that order. Federal programs have to be delineated first, then state programs or state laws, then local board policies, then best research practices, and then teacher input. Always in that order. Can't be any other order. I've told the story. You've heard me tell you the story before. I visited a school in the wilderness of southeastern North Carolina. I couldn't even find it on my GPS. It was so far out of the way. I got there. I had to wait an hour to see the principal because they were having a Title I audit. Those 2 things are important to understand, is that nobody just came riding by their school. You couldn't get there on the way to anywhere else. You had to be wanting to find it, and it was very difficult then. And they were having a Title I audit, and that Title I audit wasn't at random. The principal there had made the mistake of inverting the scheduling rationale, and he put teacher input first and federal law last. That makes the feds mad. What he had done is he had a Title I program, not a Title I school, and he had put more than a dozen non-Title I kids in a Title I teacher's class in order to balance the loads in his 3rd grade classes, because the other 3rd grade teachers were complaining. Their input was, this is not fair. They didn't understand that in adulthood, the only fair in adulthood is the place you go in the fall of the year to eat cotton candy and ride the Ferris wheel. There is no fair for adults. The law is clear. Only Title I's kids go in Title I teachers' classes. And so when he put 12 or 14 additional kids in her class, she called EPI. They come running straight out, did an audit, and then I had to go back 2 weeks later to the same school to meet the new principal. I wasn't as inconvenienced as him since he had to go home, but it wasn't fun for me either. But that's what happens when you misspend federal money. There's no recourse. The district has to refund the money, but bad things happen to you as well. That's why federal law comes first, then state law. If you misspend state money, you have to revert that money as well. In OMA 3, first thing you do is you assess the scheduling process. Are we doing federal law first? Are we doing the right things? Are we doing state and down the line? And then you assess the master schedule. And then you can either make a new one, or you can revise your existing master schedule for changes that you might make that would better meet the requirements of those areas. When I say meet the requirements of those areas, that would better follow state law, that would better follow local board policy, that would be more efficient in following federal law. That's the reason why you make scheduling changes. Most of the time, those are already taken care of. So a lot of times it's just best research practices and to help teacher input, but you never know. So again, when you are doing OMA 3, assessment of the current scheduling procedures, not the schedule itself, procedures, strengths, and weaknesses. Alignment with any school-related improvement team findings. Alignment with legal requirements. Ongoing teacher collaboration, planning, instruction. Alignment with needs of diverse exceptional populations. That's what I was talking about. If you don't do an assessment, you're not going to know when you get here what you're offering and if what you're doing meets the guidelines. Input from faculty, utilizations, findings, basis for revising the current schedule. But if you will follow that rationale, this one, it won't be so hard. And then you develop a new schedule or a draft of the current, a revised draft of the current one, where you suggest changes. So that's what you do in OMA 3. Remember, in OMA 2, if you picked an instructional topic in your APTEL, if you were leading a group of teachers in an instructional improvement activity in staff development, then you can use all of APTEL 2 and 3, change the titles, and it becomes OMA 2. And 3, make sure you understand, you read that prompt carefully. It's not just an assessment of the schedule. It's an assessment of the scheduling process. Okay? All right, the skip, the thing that I'm seeing missed most is very basic. It doesn't say just do an assessment of parents. It says assess gaps in communication. I mean, you can assess other things in terms of parent contact and parent participation and those things, but the primary focus of the skip is gaps in communication. So make sure that that's the terminology that you use when you do your needs assessment. You're looking for gaps in communication. All right? I see that too often in the skip. In the CAP, it tells you clearly in CAP Task 1 that we're looking at, for the purposes of the CAP, we're looking at 5 areas. Leadership, empowerment, facilities, resources, time. We're looking at those 5 things. Now, you can add the other 7 things or some more things besides, but we can't disregard those 5. What I'm seeing is an assessment of those 5 in Task A, and then we never go back and revisit them. The idea in the CAP is we find, the areas within those 5 areas, the sub areas within those 5 that are low, and then we go out and we ask people. We do a needs assessment. We ask people, and then, we do a needs assessment to confirm those are low, and then we go out and ask people when we get to Task 2, our qualitative work is, why are they low? We go ask people that. Qualitative means interview and observation. We go and actually ask people why those are low. And then our plan is to improve the lowest, our key component or our key finding in that one, which one is the lowest. Let me get to the CAP. Let me read through this for you again. Come on, here we go. Analysis of the climate, empowerment, leadership, facilities, resources, time, just what I told you. Now, empowerment is what they call teacher leadership. Leadership is school leadership. It's categorized that way on a teacher working conditions survey. Kelly, you don't have that, but you have something similar, I know. The candidate will develop a needs assessment. Basically, you ask, you do these things, but you ask those 5, the 5 things, the 5 key items within those that are the lowest. There's, 6, 8, 10 items on each one of these things. You find the lowest one, and you do a needs assessment. You simply survey that same question again, and you're trying to determine, is that still low, or was that just an anomaly that students rated that low? But the needs assessment is the same question, just asked again, except this time you're only going to ask 5 questions, one for the lowest of each of these 5. You're not going to have several hundred questions. This way you can focus, is this really a problem at our school? And then you're going to do qualitative. You're going to go out and ask people why they're low. You identify the low ones. You confirm through your needs assessment that those areas, those key indicators, key items are low. You go out and you ask people now, why are these low? And it's amazing what you will find. It's kind of like planning time under time. Teachers tell you they don't have enough planning time. Well, you would think the solution would be to add more planning time, but if you do that, that blows up your class size, because every time you take a teacher out of rotation for a period of time, those students have to be divided up among the teachers that are in rotation, and that blows up your class size. And so one of the things I hear all the time is we don't have enough planning time. But when you go ask teachers, sometimes I don't have enough planning time, but it's not that I don't have enough scheduled. It's I don't ever get to take mine because I'm covering for other teachers that are out because we don't hire substitutes. We want to save that money. We want to get our hands on that substitute money. We charge the teacher for the substitute. We just don't hire them. We make other teachers on the team cover those classes. Those are the kinds of things that you find out when you go out and talk to teachers. You know, oh, yeah, I have plenty of planning time schedule. I just never get to take it. So the solution to that problem is not adding more planning time. It's hiring substitutes. I mean, that's the kind of thing when you go ask people about why these things are low, those are the kinds of things that you hear that offers you some suggestions as to what solutions or what recommendations you should put in place. You can't always just assume that from survey data that you know what the fix is going to be. You have to go out and talk to people. Communication is key here. So that's the one that I'm seeing mostly in the CAP, is that we don't go out and ask people why. Why are things low? All right, and then finally the SOP.
So, all right, before you go on then, so with the CAP, I'm sorry, you were getting ready to go to the PSYOP?
I was just going to say there's no new work in the SOP. It's just
okay.
of other things that you've already done. You should recognize where what they're asking you, but you've already done all the work. The SOP is just putting it together.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Think about it as, remember, the evidence artifact portfolio at Gardner-Webb, which is submitted as your electronic portfolio for your licensure in North Carolina, is just how to build a school improvement plan.
Okay.
The first 5 different parts of them are asked for in number 6, and when you get through, you have your school improvement plan. There is no new work in 6. Make sure you understand there is no new work in 6. It's all things that you've already done. It's all. Let me turn my computer.
So the PSYOP is going to like bring together everything we've done in the first 5.
That's exactly right.
Oh, I'm glad you shared that part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
See, now, aren't you glad you spent a little time with me today?
I am.
Oh, I've got troubles here, folks. Let me see if I can get this thing. I'm sorry, the sun is coming through my blinds, and my blinds don't work. And I don't know that I may have to turn my computer around here.
It went away.
Okay, I got one corner of it down. I think I'm standing in front of it. Let me see if I can turn my.
It came back.
Let me see if I can turn. There we go. I'll turn my computer around a little bit so it was shining on my screen so heavily I couldn't even read my screen myself. So yes, that's the idea. So if you go to your SOP, the candidate will need an analysis of school data. Academic, okay, that was your PLC. That was the first thing you did in the app cell. You just put a PLC together and you did analysis of your school data. Remember that?
Yes.
So that's what that is. And you disaggregated them later on, and then you did analysis of your teacher working conditions survey. You did that in your CAP. I mean, just if you look at these things and think back, oh, I did that here. Now, some of these are multiple areas of maybe or maybe more than one of the first five evidences are in these boxes. But if you go in there and just kind of highlight and draw you an arrow and say that I did that in this one, I did that in that one, and pretty soon what you'll find out is I've already done all this stuff. It's just a copy and paste.
Oh, okay. That's gonna help. Okay.
Yeah, it will. Remember, you're building a school improvement plan. That's what this is. But you've
Okay.
already done all the work. You've already done all the work. You might have to have a little linking narrative between copied and paste sections, but if you go through these, you'll say, oh, I did that in this.
And like the focus group project, that's
You
where.
did that in the skip.
Yeah.
Think about it. You did that in the skip. Resources, I mean, right down the line here, you've done all of these things.
Okay.
You just do a little copy and paste and put them all together, and you're good to go.
Okay, that's gonna help me a little bit.
Yes, it'll help you a lot. It'll help a lot if you understand what the PSYOP is for. And so when students ask me, gosh, we have a whole lot to do in 605 because we got to write the PSYOP, you didn't read the directions. You don't have to write the PSYOP. PSYOP's copy and paste. It shouldn't take you more than 2 or 3 hours to put the whole thing together because you've already done the work.
Right.
You've already done the work. And I know that within the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'll be getting to that, or you should be by the 1st of November. So I wanted to make sure I covered this today before you started down the road into doing a whole bunch of stuff that was unnecessary. You've got this stuff already. And so if you're in 605 like Rhonda is, Rhonda should be about through, I think she posted her skip evaluation, and your cap is.
I'm finishing up on my cap.
Yep.
That's where I am.
Rhonda is kind of this is not a derogatory. This is a compliment in return. Rhonda is my bell cow. I watch her and I know where everybody else, she's kind of out in front. I know where everybody else is. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to come on today is I knew Rhonda was getting near to having her cap done and would start her PSYOP soon. And I'm just kind of waiting to make sure that, I don't wait too late and y'all get started doing a bunch of extra work on the PSYOP. So I kind of watch her. She's kind of my first one every time, and I watch what she's doing. And that's why I said I need to come on and tell y'all about this because I know Rhonda within the next week or so is going to be ready to start. Now that doesn't mean everybody has to be.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be to the PSYOP no later than probably second week in November. And I said, gosh, that doesn't give you much time. It doesn't take much time to do the PSYOP.
Oh, I'm trying to finish that before November.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And so when we finish all of these 6 pieces, the only thing left to do then is the things in task stream where we do the competency portfolio and those things.
Right here, I'm going to show you. Thank you for my lead into my next part.
Okay.
So right here you are. So the cap, the skip, and the PSYOP are due this semester in 605.
Okay.
Dispositions that you can do at any time. You just select, where you think you are meets or exceeds. You don't have, there's nothing. And your competency analysis, you can do that as soon as you finish up your competencies, your last round of competencies, you can do that. And then when you get your last round of competencies done, you jump down here and you upload them. You upload them into your DRF portfolio from your competency, and you upload them for evaluation at that time. Rhonda's about through with her. She's working on her 3rd round, and she's about halfway through right now.
Okay.
So when you get them all done, you can't send them from over there. You go to your competency folio here. But when you finish it, you come here and you upload it, not download it. Upload means you come here and upload it to this folder, as opposed to going to that folder and downloading it somewhere else. You can't do that with it. You have to come here, click on here, Final Competency Folio. Please submit it for evaluation. You go here, and you bring it over here to this. You can see I brought one over here. And so what you do is you click on attachment and you bring an artifact created in TaskStream, a lesson, or a folio. After you click on attachment, you click there, select a category, web folios, select work, your competency 2017
Oh,
folder,
okay.
add the file, save and return, submit work.
Now you're going to post this video too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. You did it last time, I know.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I will. And so that's it.
Okay.
That's how you bring it over. Once it's full, you just bring it over that way. It's really easy. And then the last thing, of course, is you have to upload your final internship log from this semester with 80 hours on it, signed by your principal. Now, this time, instead of requesting comments, you will submit for evaluation because you're done. So,
Okay.
to review Kelly, what she's brought up, she's right. The CAP, the SKIP, the SIOP, you can do your dispositions anytime. You do your competency analysis. Once you do your third round of competencies are in your folio, you do your competency analysis. Now, remembering that there's nothing to write this semester, you just click on the buttons. Then you bring your folio over here, you upload it from here, upload it to here, then put in your signed internship log, and you are done.
Okay.
So that's what you folks are doing for me this semester. Any of you that are listening that are in 603, you have to have the OMA uploaded this semester. And whether you're add-on or regular, you don't put them in here, but we want to see SKIP 1 and 2 and CAP 1. Most of you are in one of my 603 classes anyway. And then you do a round of dispositions if you're in 603. You can do those at any time when you're in 603. Again, it's just those 6 boxes to click, whether you meet or exceed expectations on your dispositions. So that's where we are for existing students in TaskStream. I've covered the evidence artifact, the hot spots that I'm seeing. Hopefully that will help you to get your work through quicker, is if you address those up front. Continue on with your peer review process. You know you can always drop work in the XM shell. I was off the air yesterday. It's the only day I've been off the air in years, but I was off yesterday. Everything was down and not working yesterday, but I'm catching back up today. I was on late Friday, but everything was down yesterday, so I'm back up and running again today. I've come into my office to make sure have a better connection here, so I've come to my office today because I couldn't get online yesterday, and so I'm here today and I'm back online, and so I have graded most everything that was sent in except for a few in 603 yesterday. But you can put work in the XM shell for me in your intern shell, and it comes directly to me. Just click on MELS 605 or MELS 603, either one of those that you're in, and upload your work. I don't think I have any in 604. But, yeah, I'll get to those. I will post this video. I'll actually send it via email. I'll just, on the same string that I sent this notice to join me today, I'll send you the email, and I will also post this. I will post this video also in our XM shell, your intern shell. It'll be under Zoom videos there. All right.
Okay, so I have one more question.
Uh-huh.
So, the other things that are in the folders that I remember the last time we met, there were certain things that will not have to be done because we did them, like a lot of them in that first set of assignments that are due. Should I talk with Dr. What's his name, Robertson?
Yes.
Should I talk to him about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows. He and I talked yesterday. We talk pretty regularly.
Okay.
Yesterday, couldn't get online, and so we talked. But yeah, just make sure that you hit all the things that he has in his class.
Okay.
I'll turn that over to him now.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I took out some things that I wasn't happy with, so it's ready to go.
Okay. Okay.
All righty.
All right.
Okay. Rhonda, anything with you?
No, I'm good, Dr. Lamb. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad
All right,
y'all joined
thanks.
me today. I get tired just talking to myself. I have to look at myself and think there's nobody with me. That's kind of scary thought. All right. I will see y'all again soon. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Thank
Have a
you
Thank
so
good
you.
much.
afternoon. Bye-bye.